You are not safe. Because this machine can kill anyone, no matter how far they are.
Oh, there you go.
Holy, okay, wait. Whoa.
You could be hundreds, thousands, millions of blocks away. You've doomed yourself. And all I need is a single projectile from you. An arrow, a trident, or even an egg.
Oh no. Wait, what? Wait, how am I taking damage?
You could be in any dimension. The nether, the end, and go as far as you want.
Wait, what am I taking damage from? Like, what is making me take the Thorns damage?
How am I taking... No.
This machine will always find you. And once it does, there's only one fate left for you. So, how is this possible? How was I able to kill someone remotely? Is it some giant supercomputer or some multi-dimensional railgun? Well, no actually, it's just this thing. Yeah, I know, it's surprisingly small. In a very oversimplified explanation, it fires wind charges at a zombie. And a bit before that, I told my friend to fire a wind charge at this block. Now you're probably wondering, but how is that relevant at all to killing people anywhere? Well, you might have noticed that the death message says, player was killed while trying to hurt something. And most of you know, that only comes from taking Thorns damage. If you somehow forgot what Thorns is, if you hit someone who has a piece of armor enchanted with Thorns, you have a chance of taking damage yourself. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, there's a little bit more to it. If I shoot an arrow and have that arrow hit a zombie with Thorns, I also take damage. Wait, but how exactly? Well, when a player shoots a projectile, the game spawns in an entity of that said projectile. But that entity also has a special tag called Owner, which, as you could probably guess, is set to the shooter. So when the arrow hits a zombie, the game recognizes that I did the damage. And this deals damage anywhere, as long as the other player is online and the arrow doesn't despawn. So, theoretically, you could collect someone's stray arrow that they fired, and then drop it on something with Thorns, causing them to take damage anywhere. And if you could reuse the arrow, you could deal damage repeatedly infinitely. But as you probably know, an arrow can only hit one entity before it disappears entirely. Now you can't use tridents since they hit multiple entities. Only on Bedrock Edition. Thank you, Mojang. So is this just a dead end? Well, yes and also no. There's nothing we can do directly to arrows, but there is something we can use it for. And that is wind charges. Similar to arrows, these things have an owner tag and also deal damage to Thorns. But more importantly, you can shoot an arrow at it, and when you do, you notice that the arrows don't disappear. And if I run this command, you'll notice that the wind charge also gets your owner tag. So when I shoot an arrow, that arrow has my owner tag. And when that arrow hits something else, it transfers my ownership onto that entity too. And since this does not make the arrow disappear, I can do this as many times as I want to. So wow, that sounds very simple. Is what I thought, until I realized that there was a slight issue. You see, wind charges have a very weird property, and it makes everything a lot more difficult. Say that I shoot an arrow at it. Where do you expect the wind charge to go? Logically, it makes sense that it goes in the same direction as the arrow, right? Right? Well, prepare yourself because it actually goes in the direction that the player is facing. How does that make any sense? So yeah, now if you want to transfer the ownership from the arrow to the wind charge, you also have to make sure that it doesn't go off flying in some random direction after you hit it. Which, of course, is easier said than done. Well, there is one half solution made by After 5 Mahogo. I don't know how to say it. Basically, they figured out that if the player is offline, the wind charge actually doesn't know which velocity they're supposed to be going. So instead, it just freezes in place, allowing you to transport it anywhere. Except there are two downsides to this thing. The first one is pretty obvious. You need your friend to be offline, which means you can't accumulate more of them if they're online. The second thing is that it uses this specific trapdoor setup, which transfers the ownership from the arrow to the wind charge, but this has been patched in 1.21.11. Thanks again, Mojang. But this did give me an idea, and that is lazy chunks. You see, when you load a chunk, whether it be by a player or a chunk loader, you are loading what's called an entity taking chunk, which is basically just a normal loading chunk. It includes everything inside your simulation distance. But the ring of chunks right outside of this circle are called block ticking chunks, or informally lazy chunks. In these chunks, entities stop processing. As I get further away from that mannequin over there, it will eventually reach a lazy chunk where it eventually stops moving, and it starts moving again when I get closer. However, you can actually still interact with them, as they still exist in the game. So my next idea was having a wind charge in a lazy chunk and an arrow in a loaded chunk. and the arrow hits the wind charge right at the chunk border, so the arrow can hit the wind charge without the wind charge processing its movement. And this actually kind of works. It's actually relatively easy to align the arrow and the wind charge. And now I just move far enough away to unload the wind charge. Now I can drop the arrow onto the wind charge, and you can actually see that the wind charge has my ownership without moving it. So this actually works. Almost. Yeah, take a look at this. So first I align the arrow, of course, align the wind charge, and finally drop the arrow onto the wind charge. Did you see that? Did you just see that? When the arrow hits the wind charge, it teleports on top of it. I actually have no explanation for this. And now the problem is that the arrow is on the other side of the border, meaning that it's unloaded. Do you see all these builds? This is probably 10 hours worth trying to fix this one stupid bug. Spoiler alert, I could not fix it. But I discovered something even better. Amidst all of this chaos, I discovered that wind charges can transfer ownership to other wind charges. And not only that, but also does it without changing its velocity. Just watch this. I can summon a wind charge and it has no owner tag right now. If I throw a wind charge near it, it doesn't move at all. It looks like there's nothing happening. Except now, it has my owner tag. Yeah, this literally solves every single problem I had earlier. So let's turn this idea into a full working remote killer. But for this machine, you need friends. And what's harder than making friends is getting a server to play with your friends. Introducing Nayhost. You can host servers for Java, Bedrock, and other games. And it's actually what me and my friends used for our Redstone testing server. And so far, it's been buttery smooth. And for only $4, you get a 2GB server. And it's super easy to manage versions, plugins, and mods. And you can use code DEMO to get 30% off your first month. And now, let's go back to our design. We'll start off with the most basic wind charge stasis chamber. You can either use powder snow or a cobweb to slow the wind charge down. Fill the dispenser with wind charges and add a lever or a button for now. Now we can attach a clock so that it runs automatically. I'll be using a few observers and a few note blocks to create this clock. Use a lever to stop it for now. Now we come to the other side and place 3 observers. This will fire a piston which aligns it along the horizontal. Place another piston facing the same block, and then place a chest across from your first piston. And finally on the remaining side, place a weighted trapdoor. This could be iron or gold. Next to your chest, create a 2-block hole. Now place a top trapdoor and you can waterlog that block. And make sure your trapdoor closes towards the chest. This creates our entity separator. Go over to your clock side and place a redstone torch. This should activate one of the pistons. Place a redstone dust on the other side and a 4-tick repeater facing towards the dust. This will be our release clock, so you can use a lever here to stop it for now. Now turning on the back lever should store up some wind charges, and the left lever should release it one at a time. Now we can make the owner transfer system. On top of the chest, make a cross shape 3 blocks tall. Except replace the top center block with a top slab or trapdoor. Dig out the center column, and also the back block of the middle row. Finally, waterlog the top slab. Create a 3x3 platform behind this, because this will be our second wind charge stasis chamber. Place a dispenser, a redstone dust, and a repeater on 2 ticks. Place a piston facing to the left, and 1 more piston facing towards the water stream, and add 1 redstone dust right behind that. Add powdered snow in front of the dispenser, and any sort of indicator block right above that empty space. Fill the dispenser with wind charges and add a button at the back. For the actual damaging part, you need to find a zombie that can pick up items. Give it a full set of Thorns 3 and Breaking 3 armor, and also 1 piece that it can hold. Position it in front of the pressure plate and also place a block above it so it doesn't burn from sunlight. And that is the main setup finish. Pulling the back lever will store up all these wind charges, and the top one will store up 1 wind charge at a time, which is what we'll be using to constantly transfer ownership. Have your victim fire a wind charge on the indicator block. Press the button 1 more time and this should fire your wind charge. This creates another wind charge while your first wind charge explodes in the bottom. The explosion transfers the ownership to the bottom stack and also the new one on top. So now there will be always 1 wind charge with the ownership. So now you can activate the launcher and it should fire the charges at the zombie 1 at a time. And as you can see, I am very much dying. Now this part is a little bit optional, but the zombie does take damage over time. So what I use is a witch throwing harming potions to heal him up. Place a witch 4 blocks away and make a little water pocket to slow down the harming potions. 3 blocks to the other side and 4 blocks up, place a snow golem with a little chamber for him to sit. Place a slab on the zombie side and this makes sure that it will attack this witch but not the zombie. And soon enough, you will see some harming potions being thrown. Now as I mentioned before, you also can use this with any other projectile. To do that, temporarily break this waterlogged block. and then fire the dispenser 2 times instead of once. Now without the water, the first wind charge doesn't get pushed down. I also recommend putting a solid block above the chest because sometimes the wind charge can slip between those gaps. But after that, you can have them shoot a projectile straight down. You can come up with your own excuse for this, but I also recommend going at least 50 or so blocks in the air so they can just barely see the wind charge. You might also find it easier to steal one of their arrows or tridents that they left behind. Now just remember to put back the water. Yeah, all I wanted to do is fire a wind charge straight down that hole. Alright. Yep, nice.
Why? What?
Oh no. Wait, what? Wait, how am I taking damage? How am I taking... No.
How long does that last for?
What would you like to try?
I think I pass.
Yeah.
Just aim at the netherite block and shoot a wind charge. Nice. Okay, now let's see.
Okay, wait, what am I taking damage from? Like, what is making me take the thorns damage? Is it potions? Or is it taking damage?
Not quite.
Wind charge?
Oh, wait. Yeah, how do you guess that? Thank you all for watching, and make sure to subscribe because this video genuinely took me 2 to 3 months to make. So, moral of the story, don't give your eggs to random strangers.